Hello, everyone. So we talked about before a few months ago about the limit for the president, and what I mean by that is every 7 years is the presidential election in Ireland, compared to many other countries is every 4 years or every 3 years or every 5 years. Ireland's very unique in having every 7 years, and you can run for two consecutive terms, which is 14 years as Michael A. Higgins has been there. Would you believe 14 years? That's half of my life, just to say. I'm 32 years old, and 14 years is a long, long time for somebody, the one person to be president of a country. And obviously the presidency in Ireland, just to say, it's only a ceremonial role pretty much. You have very limited powers. There's nothing really you can do. The constitution is very clear. But still, at the end of the day, the office of the president, what it really pretty much intends to, is somebody that has done the country well and has served the country well, and the people think that this person has done the country well, gets promoted to the highest office in the land, pretty much as thanks to the service for the nation or whatever the case may be, in reference of other people. But what I'm saying about this, there is limitations. What I mean by that is there's limitations to you running for the president. So take for example, I can't just go in the morning and say I'm going to run for the office of Nuke on, even though I wouldn't want the job, to be totally honest. Because it's pretty much you'd be sitting down doing nothing. You might as well literally sit at home and go for the presidency. But I'm not even just talking about Conor McGregor here. I know Conor McGregor's talked a lot about it, and not likely he'd be on the ballot, and not much loss there, to be totally honest. I'd probably make a video talking about Conor McGregor and all my grievances and stuff with him, in terms of what I take and stuff like that, who I'd be voting for, not that, but that's in time to come. But I want to address, I suppose, the main thing I'm talking about is that you need the backing of 30 members of the Oireachtas, the Dáil of the Shannon, or 4 local county councils to run for the presidency. And obviously to be over 35 too. I don't know about the age limit. I don't think anybody's given out with the age limit. Because I do think 35, you can't be just going 18 years old running for the presidency. You need a bit of life experience and stuff. You can't just be 18 and run for the presidency. I think that's a bit... I think that's okay. Nobody's arguing with that point. But I do have grievances with this, that anybody, and I think in the democratic process, regardless of what you take or who you are, I know people say hundreds of people put their name forward, and that may be so, but that's democracy. The more choice, the better. You have more choice in who you choose and who you think is the best. Compared to having people who, the majority, like the whole system is pretty much for the parties. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, the Labour Party, that's pretty much, it's all for the parties, not for the independent, or it's not for the ordinary Joe. And the person I would want to see as president of Dr. on the Heron, to be totally in my opinion, even just for an ordinary citizen to put their name forward, I would rather see an ordinary man or an ordinary woman that is working a 9 to 5, that works hard, that has a child, and works diligently to provide for the child, to provide for the future, to put food on the table for them. I would rather see a working man or a working woman that's an only citizen of the country win the presidency than a person that's a celebrity or a former politician and stuff, to be totally honest, because I think that's should be the peak of the state, that we promote, take for example, a mother with 2 or 3 children to the office of Donald Heron, the President of Ireland, or take for example a man that works hard to provide for his children and stuff. I do think that would be more of a better thing than politicians and stuff, people just looking for self-glory. But I do think it shouldn't be the case that you need to get the back of the Oireachtas and the local county councils, decided the Oireachtas of the council, the local authorities. I do think that's a limitation. It's a limitation of democracy. It's a bit stupid in the way too, if you ask me, because not many other countries, you don't really have to go and look for nominations. Take for example in Finland, I always talk about Finland, but you don't need majority of them are political parties, are part of political parties, but some of them run for independent. You don't need to go to the Finnish Parliament to look for representatives to vote for you, or you just put your name forward. You have the money to run a campaign and stuff, you go for it. That's really it. And I think that's the way it should be in democracy, that anybody, any citizen can go for it. And I think that's the thing, and I think that's the ideal of democracy, that an ordinary person, an ordinary Joe, can put their name forward and become Uachtar on the Heron if the people involved and think they're worthy or willing or good enough, I suppose, in a way too. But I'm not just saying this over Conor McGregor. I don't think Conor McGregor can make a good president in any regard. As I say, I have 100 things I could say about Conor McGregor, but I don't think he'd make a good president, and I'd be and not that I think, it's a fact, it's 100% fact. because the Irish Constitution does say it very clearly, regardless of what anybody says. It says it very clearly the president's power is very, very limited, extremely limited. Nearly go as far as saying, the Constitution pretty much nearly goes as far as saying that the president cannot really speak on anything, to be honest. I know Michael J. Higginson presidents have have tested that a bit over the last few years in different regards. But really, the Constitution, in terms of what it says with the office of the presidency, you're not really allowed to have your own opinion, like state a public opinion publicly on a subject. For example, if it's to do with house and those to do with whatever. Even though, in my mind too, I suppose in terms of that Constitution, that it should be probably changed a bit, because at the end of the day, you are elected by the people. Whatever vote you get, if you get 500,000, 300,000, 2,000, whatever it may be, if you're elected up there on the hill and President of Ireland, the people have elected you to be in that office. I do think you have some kind of a right to speak on some subjects, and especially if the people vote for it. But as I say, I do think it's a bit stupid. We talked about it probably should be every 4 years instead of every 7 years, because it's an awful long time. In terms of every 7 years for the election. But I do think we should get rid of this. If we were going to get rid of something, we should get rid of this, that we have to go to the Dáil and the Seanad to look for somebody to get a nomination for the office of the presidency. Take, for example, your local county councils. Because I do think that limits, and it doesn't bring forward only people. And I think that's the thing about it. And that's the thing about democracy. It's only people, it's not elites and stuff that should be one of the presidents. It's all about the only people, it's all about the people of Ireland. I think that's the very embodiment of the presidency, that it's all about the people. It's about representing the people. It's about being the people's subject, pretty much. Because you serve the people, they don't serve you, you serve the people. But anyway, let me know what you think, because we could talk about this till the cows come home, I suppose. But I do think we should think about that. We have a look at that, because I don't know why it was implemented in the 1937 Constitution, but probably was to do with because again, there's a separation of powers between the Dáil and the Seanad and the presidency. So pretty much the Dáil and the Seanad have all the power. The president's pretty much only a rubber stamp job. But still, you get what I'm saying. The presidency was designed, I suppose, to replace the Governor General and the King when Ireland was the Irish Free State and became the Irish pretty much Republic after 1937, when they took the King and the Governor General from that, and then they created the office of the presidency as up there on the hearing. So that's pretty much why. So, but I do think it should be looked at, because maybe years ago made sense, but I don't think nowadays it makes sense, because any citizen should be able to run. Any citizen, regardless of who they are. Even though I don't agree with Conor McGregor on a lot of stuff, and particularly his behaviour in a lot of regards. At the end of the day, that's democracy. If somebody's going to run for the presidency, they're going to run. There's nothing really anybody can do about it. It's up to the people to decide at the ballot, do they think the person's worthy enough. But anyway, let me know think. As I say, this is just my opinion. I get into the whole topic of Conor McGregor at some point. But not likely to get any nomination, regardless of how hard he tries. He's not going to get onto the ballot. There's not a hope of that. Anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.